rahmatullah. This video is to show you some of the features at the OS ticket system at the admin side. So you have to be at the admin part, so you go to admin. And then what we're going to talk about is this manage part. So specifically talk about forms and lists, how to manage them, because they have some features that can be used. So if we go to the manage and go to the forms, and here's open this part here, shows help topics, ticket filter, etc. It would be forms and list, and the forms would be built-in forms. These came with OS ticket system, and there's a custom forms where you can create. So this, for example, medical panel, I added this a while ago. So here, for example, let's have the task of when we try to open the file for the patient, we have the patient's name, who opened the information, etc. But we don't have an age or the gender, like male, female, or the age. Of course, male, female will probably know it from the name, but we need to add a gender here. Like an age. How many years old is the patient? So go back to the OS ticket system. Sorry, not this page here. Go back to the OS ticket system, and if you look here, تفاصيل الحالة, there's اسم الملأ البيانات, etc. So this is called user information field or بيانات الشخصية. These are listed here, and also there's another forms which were added later on. So form field. So the اسم, email, رقم الهاتف, all these would be covering this part here at the top. بيانات الشخصية. تفاصيل الحالة is the second one. So we need to edit this one here to add age to the ticket. So to do that, you actually go to the manage, and you go to the forms, and in the forms you go to تفاصيل الحالة itself, and here you need to add we need to add a label to البيانات الشخصية. Sorry. So to go to this, you go to the form, go to البيانات الشخصية. I'm sorry. So in البيانات الشخصية here we need to add the how old is the patient. So this is عمر المريض والمريضة. So I'll leave it as a short answer. And at this time, it will ask me to when I save it, it will ask me to add something here for configuration. So what I do now is save changes, and here Amr al-Marid al-Marida was added. So I want to make it required, and I want to configure the change the configuration and make it validator, or for example have to be a number or phone or email, wherever. I just leave it simple. So save that. So Amr al-Marid al-Marida now would be a part, and probably I'm going to put it before the internal node. So I'm going to drag it under al-ism immediately. So this would be al-ism kamil and then Amr al-Marid al-Marida, and then I save changes and enable to commit to custom form. Okay, so it needs a variable here. That's what I was talking about. So it requires a custom form here, and this variable here is needed. So I would say age. So I added this variable and then save it, and now it's saved. If we go to the front end now, here when we refresh this one here, open it again, and فتح ملف جديد, and now عمر المريض والمريضة is seen here. So الاسم كامل, and then عمر المريض والمريضة is here, and this way we added a new field here. So there's a potential for editing this form as we go, adding things or taking away things by doing this from the back end, from the page forms, and you can edit these things here. I don't recommend affecting them. The second thing is lists, and lists is actually one of the most important parts, is the ticket statuses. So if the ticket status, we're familiar with the ticket status, so you go to the ticket status, there's definitions and there's items, and here's the items where we can add different ticket statuses. For example, The default would be open, that you cannot change, closed you cannot change, archive, deleted. But in progress and ready to closure, these are, for example, I added them, and then when you add them, when you save them, it will ask you to make a comment about them. And here is the properties, item properties define each item. So here you can affect or add the items needed to be property. For example, here stat and description, state and description. Here you can add some other things, and you can configure them. So when you go to the property, for example, ready for closure, when you open, so you find state and description, and the state it's either open or close. And so this will show up in the open tickets. If you put it in the close, it will show up in the closed ticket. So you can have a closed and archived and closed and unarchived. And here, for example, open, ready for closure, MP gave final report and questions are answered. So I save it this way. And you can add other statuses, for example, to the front. Will be shown on the front end, and the content of the property of these you can edit it from here by adding as many items as you can. So this would be, for example, in the lists, and this would be, for example, things you can add to the front end, and these will show up in the ticket at the front. So if you go to pick up a ticket, for example, and so this will show ticket status, and will show up here. See, ready for a closure or closed, etc. And if it's a closed, and then you can see further items there. Okay, so this is in short how to use the function of manage forms and lists. As far as pages goes, pages are these are the pages at the front end, which is seen when you open a file, etc. So medical panel list, landing, and thank you. So this is the pages that are available and will be discussed separately.